Grad School 101 with Dr. Bradbury.
Hi, welcome back to Grad School 101. In this edition of Grad School 101, we are going to answer a student question, and I love this question because I really think that it's something that's really common. So I actually hear this quite a lot in my office hours, and it goes something like this. Dr. B, I know you've already told me that in order to apply to graduate school, I need to apply to a lot of different places. I need to spread myself out geographically. Dr. B, I have heard you say that applying to grad school in Texas is the fastest way to not get into graduate school that you know of. And I am really scared by this because I have something going on in my personal life that means that I cannot apply in the traditional way. I cannot apply nationwide. Maybe I can't move at all. Maybe I really need to be right here in Austin because of various other personal commitments that I have. I can't leave. Or I can only go a certain number of places. I can only go so far away, or I can only go to a different state, but only one other state because I have family there, right? Whatever it is, there are lots of situations that I encounter in which students have some particular idiosyncratic thing going on in their lives that really does mean that they're not in a position to do a traditional nationwide application for graduate school. So, help, what are we to do? Don't worry, there is actually a great way to work around this. And the way that I think about this is that you can't be restrictive in too many categories at once. Okay, so you want to think about the fact that if you're restricting geography, you have to open something else back up. So if you say to me, I'm applying to clinical PhD programs and only in this state, then I'm like, oops, that calculation comes to 5 programs. Not enough. That is not enough programs. And instead, we would say, okay, well, if you're going to apply only within this particular geographic area, and we have that restriction, then let's see if we can open up what type of program you're applying to. And the more restricted you are geographically, the more you're going to need to open that up. So, for example, if you say, well, I can apply to maybe Texas and a couple of states right around Texas. I can apply to Texas, Louisiana, maybe Oklahoma. That would be about it in terms of what I could pull off. There I would say, okay, well then let's list the types of programs that you think would be useful to you. What type of program are you hoping to apply to? Whether we're talking about a clinical PhD program or we're talking about doctoral programs in general, which would bring in PsyDs and would also bring in a social work doctorate and would also bring in a counseling doctorate, which is usually an EdD, a doctorate of education, right? But absolutely has a lot of the same basic licensing rules, right? In terms of what it is that you're allowed to do. So the more geographically restricted you are, the more you have to think about, what do I want to do with my degree when I'm done? When I'm done with graduate school, what do I want to be professionally qualified and capable of doing, right? What type of license do I need? And then to try to figure out, what does that mean in terms of how many programs are actually available to me? What types of programs would meet that particular career preparation need that I found that I have? Many times I find that students believe that they're actually more restricted than they are in terms of the types of programs that they could apply to. There are people doing the same work that I do, especially if you take away the stuff I'm doing right now, right? The thing that I'm doing right now here at UT and teaching is one of the number one things that means that I need a PhD, right? That I have to have that doctoral level training. It is also the case that I'm glad I have my doctoral level training sometimes clinically, but that it isn't as necessary, right? So the more restricted you are, the more you want to think about, would master's degrees work for me? What types of doctoral degrees would work? Do I want to think about law school? Can I think about becoming a social worker? How many different places do I want to think about being able to apply? Because really, it's just a matter of getting enough elbow room, right? We have to get enough variability and enough range that we're actually going to find that you have enough places to apply to. And so fleshing out that list is way more important than having anything in particular be on that list. So when you're thinking about being very geographically restricted, I really want you to be thinking about trying to open yourself up in other ways and trying to say, I'm going to have to be a little less choosy when it comes to how specifically I'll match in terms of my research interests, or I'll need to maybe think about going a more indirect route in order to get there. But I'm still going to make sure that I apply to enough places, because if I don't apply to enough places, then I've just sold myself short. right? In terms of being able to do that. So this is one of these ways in which I often tell students, and this is a good opportunity to say it again, don't close doors on yourself, right? Give other people a chance to do that. You leave all the doors open that you possibly can and just let other people close them. And you go ahead and just make sure that you don't close a door on yourself. And to me, that's what applying to too few schools in too geographically restricted a range does, is it closes doors on you. So make sure that you leave those doors open by choosing to apply to enough schools and in as much diversity as you can possibly arrange for yourself. All right, this has been Dr. B with another edition of Grad School 101. Come back soon and see us.